My summer vacation time was almost up and I had so much work left to do on this garage. So I gave myself a 1-week time limit to get the entire outside of the garage done. Let's go see how long this thing actually took. I decided a great first place to start was with the window. I recently watched a great video from Bourbon Moth Woodworking where he had a professional window installer show him the proper way to put in a window. So I followed those instructions as closely as I could. I'll put a link to the video in the description in case you're interested in watching that. Of course, my camera battery decided to die partway through the process, but here's what it looked like when it was finished. I had some other responsibilities to attend to that day, which brought me into day 2, where I began installing the man door and my window and door trim. I decided that I would use this blue skin stuff going up along the door and then also put 3 strips of this weatherproof caulking down on the floor before I ran into a small issue where I blocked myself into the shop. But hey, that's what windows are for, right? I managed to squeeze on through and jump down safely, and then proceeded to work on shimming the door level and plumb while my dogs Max and Pluto watched. A little bit of spray foam insulation all around the door from both the inside and outside completed that installation, and I moved on to putting in my PVC trim. I decided that the best way to affix it was with some silicone and brad nails, and I am happy to say that it is holding up very nicely. Then all my miters and seams were filled with that same silicone caulk. And the garage trim was exactly the same thing, some silicone caulk and some brad nails. The sides were pretty easy. I had to get creative to be able to do the same for the upper trim, but in the end I got it all working, all sealed up, and it looked great. So as you can see, I've picked up a lot of my vinyl siding and Soffit materials. So let's go ahead and get some stuff getting installed. Here's what I really love about the ventilated Soffit is with the little holes that it has, the vents it has, and it's a lot easier to tell whereabouts you need to be cutting. So I can just lean up here, find my 11-inch mark, and I can see it's right in the center of these ones coming up here. I'll take my airplane shears, and I can just follow those markings there, straight up the middle on this one, like that. That's an 11-inch piece. With that, we could begin slotting together our 11-inch sections of Soffit. And this went pretty simply. It just slipped right into the channel that we had, slipped into the groove on the one previous, and then you'd screw it in place in a couple places. And I just moved my way along. Okay, so what I've been finding is that a angle grinder with a cutoff disc is really good for cutting all those vinyls. And I find my mark. So right here, I've got my mark there and the mark there. Carry that through. Go back to the other end. Now we'll scribe our line to the angles that we're looking at, and probably have to take off a little bit more here at that point. We're getting there. Now I should be able to get reasonably close because of my cutout on the side. This is angled like this.
So let's go see if we got it right that time.
Now, for some reason, my wireless microphone began picking up the local radio station, so let me just tell you a little bit about what I'm doing here. The 10-foot lengths of the corner trim for the siding were just a little bit too short, so I found where my bottom plate was and overlaid things and proceeded to mark a line where the previous one ended, and then went up from there a couple of inches and marked another line, which is where I'm going to cut these. And then we will trim off the little edges so that the lower one can slip underneath the upper one and get nailed in place.
We're able to slide this up inside like this. In the center, and we're just going to hammer it until it's pulled in. It has some room to move. I'm going to go a second nail into this just because it's kind of flopping around here. Or it's such a short piece, I should say. This one again, center of that slot. A little bit of room here, it can move back and forth. I'll do the same thing on the other side. You don't want to hit the vinyl here, you'll crack it and break it. All right, I'm just gonna finish the rest of this up. I'll catch you on the flip side. We have our starter strip here.
A lesson that I learned that can probably help you in the future. I was just taking whatever was left over after I cut off my terminating piece, bring it back over to start again. So what it's ended up happening is I have a pattern going through both sides, really definable of my overlaps on the vinyl siding. Doesn't affect the function, but looking at some other examples of vinyl siding that has been professionally done, looks like generally you want things to be a little bit more randomized. I do find when I'm looking out the back sliding door of the house at the garage at this wall, my eye immediately goes to this pattern. I'm not going to change it because, well, there's no point. The rest of this thing, we're going to go with more of a random pattern. I suggest you do the same. Was beginning to run out. Fortunately, day 6, I had the opportunity to get a lot done on the garage. Here I am setting up my J-trim along the top of the soffit, or along the eaves, and with this we're going to be able to fill in this last little space up along the top here. Now, one important part for doing these top pieces is using one of these things. They're called like a snap lock plier or something like that, and they just create these little divots that manage to catch on to that top piece of trim when everything locks into place, because obviously there's no room to actually get some nails in that area. At this point here, I was able to recruit my oldest son to start helping me, which really helped the process go faster. And in the background, you can hear the construction workers working on my neighbor's garage, getting everything installed over there. This really was, for me anyways, a race to see who could complete everything fastest. So not only was I racing to get this done before my 7 days was complete, but I was also hoping to get the entire garage done before the professionals could finish my neighbors. This aluminum fascia was really interesting to install, in part because I decided to save some cost by doing 4-inch fascia boards, and then I wanted to cover it up with this stuff. But as it turns out, locally and in the city near me, all of those places that I normally would go, everywhere I looked, they only had the minimum size of a 6-inch aluminum fascia, so every one of these had to be cut down lengthways before I could install them into place. But otherwise, it was a pretty simple process, and the difference it made in how everything looked, and knowing that I don't have to paint fascia, made this absolutely worth it. I just wonder if maybe I should have gone with 2x6s for my fascia boards instead of 2x4s. This here is an exterior junction box cover. It allows my vinyl siding to click in. This inner part here just slips on over everything and gets tacked into place with some siding nails or roofing nails. And then I leveled everything off before tacking it in the rest of the way, and then used some tuck tape to seal it off on the top and 2 sides before slipping on the outer cover over top of everything. And later on, when I install my exterior lights, I'll be able to put them directly over top of this plastic cover. Everything will be neat and tidy and weatherproof. We've got to fill this space, and fortunate for us, actually, for filling this space, we just have to take a little bit off to slide underneath this here, and then the rest of it's going to come to here. So Joshua's going to go ahead and start chopping this down to what we figured out it needs to be. Okay, hang on, we're underneath this piece of trim. Okay, locked in, and go ahead and nail that down. All right, I've put my measurements on this tape measure, so I'm going to now transfer them over to this piece of siding, and I'll connect the dots, and hopefully that will get us what we need and carry the line on and have something scribed properly. So I'm gonna have to throw some caulking in here or something, because these two didn't end up in the right place with the snap locks. And then we'll nail that in place, and then it's on to custom fitting the next one. We managed to get that side done and in place before the end of day 6, but then it was day 7, the final day, and we were gonna face our biggest challenge yet. Okay, that's very annoying. The place that I got this siding is from a ways. It's about an hour and a half away, and let's see if you can see the difference here. Yeah, I ordered white, and I just opened up this new box of it. This is linen, that's white. I really hope it's just, this was an open box. So I'm really hoping it's not every single, I think it's every single one of them. No. I think what I'm gonna do, I have one more box of actually white here. Problem with this box was the ends were cut off of it, so when they loaded me up, they thought that it was white. So I'm gonna see if I can finish off everything with this actual white box. Challenge I have is I've got to go up this wall, all up here, and finish off of that. And then I've also got the finishing touches on this long wall here. I really don't think that I have enough to finish that. So we'll see. Hey, don't run away yet. In a couple of seconds, I'm going to give you the grand tour of the outside of the garage. But before I do that, let me give you a breakdown of the cost, and let me tell you a little bit about how that last day went. I definitely wasn't sure that I would be able to make it in that 1 week time frame. And it really didn't look like I'd be able to on that last day when I ran into the color issues. Fortunately, I actually had exactly the amount that I needed without that extra box. So that's gonna go on my shed later on at some point. Seriously, I came down to my final cut and had exactly what I needed to finish off the entire garage. So what do you say we take a look? Until next time, make sawdust, not excuses.